Good morning, Cowboy Jim here in Fort Mac, and it is Tuesday morning. Bit of snow up here last night, about an inch or so, and fortunately and unfortunately, I ran out of coffee yesterday, and so starting my day off, I drove down to one of three. No, actually, shall we say, one of three or four Tim Hortons we have here in Fort Mac, and got myself. Always drink black coffee at home, and but when I get close to Tim Hortons, I always do double double, and it's just kind of a sweet tooth thing that I have, and I spent the last couple of days pondering the joy and the horror associated with Easter, and the joy because there's hope, the horror because of what the Messiah, the Savior, the Redeemer, went through on the cross out of absolute love for you and I, and and I know that's not a subject that pleasures a lot of people, but that's okay. I'm Irish. I don't always have a smile on people's faces when I'm walking towards them, and but nonetheless, it is what it is, and I was watching, of course, the news this weekend, and I really watched a lot of good movies and that sort of thing. I didn't get out too much, and going to have to straighten that up a little, and maybe go down and visit the local place where they keep their horses, and find out how much it costs, I suppose, to keep a horse. Geez, on the ranch, well, there was no question about you having a horse. I mean, I guess the most I had probably 17, I suppose, and I had I always enjoyed having horses around because I don't like walking. And to me, it seems counterproductive. I mean, yes, it can give you a certain amount of exercise, but gee, there are other ways of exercising that's kind of good for your heart and on a couple of different levels and stuff like that. But anyways, I was watching a little bit of Joe Biden down in the States, and isn't it interesting? The Democratic Party, they all decided that they should defund the police, and many states and the cities did, and they cut back in a market sort of manner on paying the police to maintain law and order, and the police were not happy with that. There were some people in the police departments throughout the states, and they jumped the gun and they sinned in their hatred. I was going to say bigotry, but their hatred for anyone who was of a color that was different than themselves or of a nationality, a race, and they screwed up. And law and order has to be for the people, and it has to be for law enforcement as well. And so the Democratic politicians down in the States decided that they didn't want law and order anymore. And some of the new crazies in the NDP, in the Democratic Party down in the States, they just wanted to get rid of the police and replace them with psychologists who could talk people who were breaking the law into not doing that anymore, because that's not nice. And the stupidity of that was an affront to anyone who understands a good defense is a really good offense. The capability of saying you abide by the law, and if not, we'll catch you. And in Scripture, it said that when justice is not carried out quickly, people grow very lax. And so down in the States, they have the government. Say in a city, they have a mayor, and then he appoints or she appoints officials down to the police. And one of those is the prosecutors, the people who prosecute, from a lawyer standpoint, a crime, a criminal. And in the States, they've gotten everything arse backwards, and the police can arrest as many people as they catch, and the prosecutors will let them go in nothing flat. Like, we'll just let them go. On the weekend down there, they had some idiot that went into a mall and shot people up. And they caught him, arrested him. He appeared in court, and the judge gave him a $25,000 bond that he had to pay in order to get out of jail, in order for him to go back to work, in order for him to be free on the streets after he had already shot the hell out of a shopping mall full of people. And the police look at that stupidity and they say, well, we catch him at the risk of our own lives. And the prosecutors working for the Democratic mayors, and if you think I'm being hard on the Democrats, well, you're right, because there is a distinct difference between the application of a universal law throughout the United States of America and up here, and a liberal, especially in the States, a liberal city controlled by a liberal mayor. They will not uphold the law to the same level that a Republican in the States as a mayor will uphold the law. And so people lose faith and they lose hope in law and order. So there's a marked number of people moving, leaving Democrat ran states in the United States of America, and they're moving to where the Republicans are in control, Florida, Texas, that sort of thing. And they sure aren't moving to California, let me tell you. No, they're moving out of California, and they're looking for a new place to get started, build a new life on which you could have some fundamentals that were not ever changing, but fundamentals that stuck with law and order. And so people, like, I haven't had a speeding ticket, I think, in 15, perhaps 18 years. And like, not one. But I had 3 prior to that. One when I was 18, one when I was 29, and one in my little red Corvette back about 15, 16, 17 years ago. I was really offended about that because that vet just kind of got going a little too quick downhill. And didn't I get a 10 over speeding ticket? And I wasn't impressed. But it is the way it is. But anyways, here. Down in the States, you have a government, a Democrat-led government. And when Joe Biden, the president of the United States of America, came into power, he had an agenda, and that was to eliminate every singular thing that Donald Trump had done, which had caused the United States of America to be energy independent, to have protected borders, to have freedom, like real freedom. And Donald Trump, people hate him. Eh? Oh, geez, oh my, yes, isn't he terrible? Well, he is a character, okay? And I mean, he is a character. But as a tremendously rich, wealthy man, he decided to go into politics. And he just ran in politics the same way that he has run all his life. And that is, it's kind of like my saying, if you don't like the way I drive, get off the sidewalk. Okay? And that's kind of how Donald Trump behaved. And I believe he did behave in that manner. But anyways, defund the police. That was one of the Democratic game plans, and Biden was right in there. And Biden is either the dumbest person suffering from Alzheimer's and every other form of debilitating age, passing a time. It's cruel, children. And or he is one of the most subtle, evil, antagonists that has set his heart against democracy. And the Democrats have a wonderful way of dealing with that. If they, and they are, intent on destroying the United States economy, they will do everything in their power to destroy it, but they will portend, I think could be used, and they'll blame the Republican people. They themselves will be doing the sin of trying to, and they'll blame the opposite party. That's what politicians do. And so Joe Biden decided that he needed a nuclear power deal with Iran. Well, he does. He did. And still does. And when he's all done with his wonderful deal that Obama started so many years ago, I think 2014 or so, when they have drawn up and signed a peace accord, they'll still need one, because the one that they sign is not going to be any good at all, and it won't. Because the intent of the battle between good and evil is from two opposite sides. God on the one hand, Satan on the other. God created Satan, and Satan is not something that is outside of God's control and will. But Satan is doing what God, in essence, allows him to do. And but God has a good hand on the reins and limits Satan's ability to do certain things. And people, I guess because we naturally are so dysfunctional as far as wanting to obey, we fight against rules, laws. Well, we do. When was the last time we broke the speed limit? Okay. Well, I do it all the time. I just try to be careful and not break it by too much. But we have a natural disregard for law and order, and we struggle greatly with good and evil, love and hate, all those things. Joe Biden down in the States, in an effort to get reelected, I hope he fails, is starting to sell to the oil companies new leases. Already he had 9,000 leases that were available to the oil companies, but they couldn't drill and make $1. And the reason for that was you could get an oil lease, but you couldn't get access to the site to drill. You could get an oil lease, but you were not allowed to build roads into that oil lease in order to truck the oil out and or build pipelines, collection type pipelines from the oil wells that were made available by the government in the U.S., but you couldn't build the avenue, the ways, the means of getting the oil to market. So what good were the leases? And so Biden, in his fear, and the Democratic Party in their fear that they won't ever get elected, incidentally, that's why the borders down in the states, southern in particular, are so open. Because every person walking in there, unless they're Ukrainians, because it's easier for a Ukrainian family, a mom and her kids, to fly down to Mexico, get a ride up to the border and walk across, than it is for that same family to catch a backhaul on one of the U.S. Planes after the planes drop off weaponry, ammunition, in an untimely manner. And it's easier for people just to walk across the border in the South because the numbers of people walking across will probably sway the vote in November in the United States of America. And the Democrats are hoping all these illegal immigrants will vote for them. And they may. I mean, and fentanyl and all that crap. But anyways, it doesn't matter. Because it's all a game. It's let's pretend that we're doing something in the hope that no one notices really what we are doing. And the Democratic Party in the States is doing everything they can to destroy the United States of America. And we're kind of hanging around watching. I try with objectivity. I have a very specific belief system in God, but I won't put other people down because theirs differs from mine. That's kind of silly. I don't have to change the world. The world's just going to hell on its own, and it will. And it will. Okay, so not much of a tirade, but just a functional, fundamental recap of what is happening. Biden is sending ammunitions and everything over to the Ukraine, but too little, too late, and Biden hopes that Putin wins, and the Ukrainian people will just go away. And that's why he is as slow as he is. And if the world goes to war, I suppose the Democrats will continue to stay in power. Because I don't know that they're going to have an election when the country is at war. And I mean really at war. And I hope that common sense prevails. But quite frankly, the odds are against it. They really are. And people say, well, really, what does it matter to us? Well, it matters in this. Our ancestors in the First and Second World War fought for freedom. And in this Third World War, that I think has already started anyways when Putin invaded the Ukraine, it's for freedom. That's what the Ukrainian people are fighting for. And they're doing a real good job because they know, as you and I don't realize, until our country would be invaded, and then we would know what it means to fight for freedom. We would, because we'd be doing it. And I hope it is not too little too late. But anyways, Biden's having his fun. The Democratic Party is having their fun, and they're pretending. The Great Pretenders. Now, that may be the title for this little... it's not a tirade. It's more of a description of what is happening, and you may or may not be interested in it. So I'll mix these videos up a little bit. God bless you, eh? And you have a good day. Thank you. Cowboy Jim over and out, eh? God bless.